I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music, as well as putting out a lot of brand new interviews, which there's a plethora coming before Christmas. In the next 2 months, we're also going to put out sort of the best of rock history music. Some of the most interesting, in some cases, like this one, juicy interview clips that we've received from various artists that we talked to. Bill Champlin, formerly of Chicago, is well known for speaking his mind. When it comes to his former band, he doesn't mince words, but they're kind of the same with him. When the documentary came out, it seemed like the boys in Chicago had a lot of unfavorable things to say about ex-members. First of all, we've got 3 clips in this interview. I've asked Bill Champlin twice about looking back at Chicago. The first question is, would you ever join the band again? And his answer is very definite, which you'll hear in a few seconds. And then after that, we talk about Chicago again. The first interview is from 2018. Remember, this is sort of a best of. And the last 2 quotes where he's on camera are just from 2 years ago. Bill Champlin, Chicago, on Rock History Music. Enjoy it.
Bill Champlin and Chicago. So we asked him, would you ever rejoin that band in a million years?
No. Those guys cannot stand me. They've got me down as something that just should have never happened. I don't even want to go into it. And I just don't want to deal with that particular group of people. It's just, I've spent 28 years with them. That's fine. We're done. That's enough. It's just, there's really no love lost in that scene. I haven't talked to one member of that band. I saw Jason, and then I hang out with Tris every once in a while, because Tris left right about within a year of Jason. Tris and the quote, the next singer after Jason, both bailed out in a couple of days.
Well, that's obviously over forever then.
But it kind of pissed people off whenever I suddenly got a hit with them, because then they went, well, it's going to take that much longer to get this guy out of here. They're very happy playing their original stuff. That's what they want to do. That's how they've wanted to do it, and they want to play it exactly like the stuff was recorded, and all that's fine and dandy. And I think it's fine for them. I mean, I wish them all the best. And they don't even need it. They don't need anybody to wish them anything. Those guys are working all the time. They're doing great.
Who do you talk to from the old band? Jason obviously is one of them. I mean,
Jason, I hang out with Tris a lot. I see him pretty regularly. He finally had a rotator cuff problem going on, and he finally took care of that. Because for a while there, he was in this really newfangled, crazy ass sling. Wasn't just a thing around his shoulder. There was another piece of something in here, and I was going, oh wow, I hope this goes away soon, and it did. He's got that together.
Especially as a drummer. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the reason he had put it off for so long. But all of a sudden, he was like kind of without a gig for a minute, and that's when he went ahead and did it. But I mean, within 2 weeks after walking out of Chicago, he was playing with Kenny Loggins.
Yeah, where
he started, and for a certain period of time, I don't think he is anymore. God, nobody's playing anything now. I mean, especially in California, it's just locked so tight that there's just nothing we can do. That's one of the reasons why Tamara and Will and I drove to Houston, Texas. That's halfway across the country, going down. So Highway 10 all the way down. It's like, wow, this is a long drive, but it's at least I'm seeing something other than my street.
I know. That's what I was thinking when I heard you were going. I'm going, my God, the expanse of the land, nothing beats that. God, just to see something.
There's a point, I think, in more. I mean, when we came back, it was maybe during nighttime when we went through. There's a point, I think, more around eastern Arizona that's just beautiful. And you could see, this is the state that the Grand Canyon is in. You could see that there was some stuff going on, you know what I mean? It was just every corner we came around, it was like, oh my God, look at this postcard. Dig this baby. And in that sense, yeah, just in terms of seeing something other than the same thing over and over again. This pandemic and this lockdown thing, it's messing some people up, And luckily I have music to keep me from, otherwise, I don't think if I hadn't cut this album, I probably would have gone crazy, gone up to the top of a building and start pot shotting people. I'm not really, but
First, we imagine Bill Champlin going to David Foster's house. Isn't that him going up the hill over there? Wait a minute.
Tell me. Well, David, me and Jay actually went and saw one of his shows, and it was a ball to see him. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And we kind of sort of, because of Chicago in a lot of ways, we sort of parted ways. He was mad at everybody in the band because they were bad mouthing him so bad. I mean, they put out a remastered version of the David Foster era, 16, 17, 18. And two of the guys were talking to somebody and said, we hate what David Foster did to the band. What David Foster did to the band is he took everybody's bank account and went boom. Oh, you hate him for that? Come on, give me a break. You know, it was a really good era. There was some really, really great music. So he kind of was really angry at the band for what these two guys said, but it kind of landed in my lap. And at one point he said, man, I'm really pissed at you. I said, what for? It was on a telephone call. He said, man, because of that. I said, I never even knew they did a remaster. They didn't even tell me there was a remastered record out. I had no idea it was out there, let alone anybody saying something like that. And they call me a rookie. That's, you know, if somebody wants to think that, that's one thing, but you don't put it on a record. We hate what the producer of this record did to the band. It's like putting out a motor oil, say, be sure to buy this motor oil. It's going to blow your engine up. You know why?
It's like the documentary, though, unfortunately. I think a lot of people left the documentary. And I mean, I contacted Danny right after that. He says, it's too fresh, man. I can't talk to you right now. And he says, I want to, but I might say something I'll regret. And then his manager contacted me and said, hey, man, it's too soon. We just, you know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, believe me, I got you. You know, it's you know, Peter. They were saying, well, you know, Peter wanted to do a certain way, and he wanted to get all the rest of us involved in the Hall of Fame thing, and they were going, no. And when Danny got up to talk, I mean, the first name he mentioned was me, and you could see behind him Robert going, oh God. They took that out of the you know, he mentioned Lagier, he mentioned Chris Pinnock, he mentioned Chaz Sanford, he mentioned David Foster, he mentioned all these people, and they just clipped it, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
That's too bad. Michael Potter also asked, through the years, and I'm really curious about this, have there been people that you couldn't work with because of scheduling, lost opportunities that, you know how it is, they're lost in the ether, we need you here.
The two that I really miss is I had tickets to see Chicago when I was with the Suns, and somebody booked a Suns gig, so I couldn't go. And I had tickets to see Jimi Hendrix, and somebody booked a Suns gig, and I couldn't go. And I missed the being able to see Terry Kath play, and I miss being able to see Jimi Hendrix play.
What about gigs, though? I think he meant gigs. Was there ever a gig where we want you to play here, but you couldn't because of you were preoccupied with something else? Any musicians?
Well, I mean, if there's a gig I couldn't make, usually it's because I had another gig. After the week where I was diagnosed with pretty major cancer on Monday, my son died on Tuesday, I was on an airplane to Johannesburg, South Africa, because a friend had booked me on for 2 nights at a jazz festival in Johannesburg. I made the gig. I didn't make the rehearsal, but I made the gig because I told him, I said, man, you're not going to believe it. She says, you want to bail on this? Well, I have to bail on the whole thing. I said, I don't want to do that to you. I'll go do the gig. And luckily we were out. We were flying with Denise Williams, who's an old friend. I mean, I sang on one of her records, couple of songs on When Love Keeps Calling album that actually David Foster produced. And I get to sing with Maurice White on one date, you know, and Brenda Russell, who I'd written with, and she's been an old pal for years and years. And we, you know, they were like, here's your shoulder, you need it, you got it, you know what I mean? It was really a rough run. I mean, I had pretty decent tickets, so I was able to spend the extra 2 hours or whatever in a decent business class lounge and that kind of thing. All of that was fine and dandy for this long a cruise, but the show kind of had to go on. You know, when I flew back, Tamara picked me up at the airport and we went right to a viewing at a mortuary with my son. So it was a really rough time, you know, but I had a gig. I told him I'd play it. I played it.
That's amazing. Holy God.